Hello everyone, it's me, Jules, here with the lovely bronzed god that is Ben, and today we are going to be doing a review in the loosest possible sense.
A discussion.
Yeah,
do you think I'm bronzed?
Yeah, definitely. Your skin is lovely. It's fair, like fields of wheat.
Right.
And whey.
I drink a lot of water. It's good for your skin. Kids, drink the water. Speaking of a game for kids, but in the loosest possible term, much like this is a review.
Okay.
Knack II. The game that is...
It set the crowd mild back when it was...
Why does Knack II exist?
Well, it was a tech demo to begin with, wasn't it? Like, for the PS4, and then they were like, let's just make this into a game, and then they realised that if they just padded it out enough, that would make it into a full-price game, and then they realised, oh dear, we've made a very average launch title.
It was lead architect of the PS4, Mark Cerny. It was his passion project, because back in the day, he worked on the likes of Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and other things like that.
Which totally at all didn't raise our expectations for this game.
No,
Not
exactly.
at all.
The second coming of Spyro? What? That sounds good.
Who said that? Definitely not Peter.
No. Knack 1, basically, it came out and it was very okay.
Yeah, it
had
was fine.
Absurd difficulty spikes, terrible checkpoints, a story that wasn't worth paying attention to, but instead of playing it for laughs, like a Crash Bandicoot or a Spyro would, where it's over the top and you've got cackling villains, in this... In Knack 1 and Knack 2, every character was deadly serious about what was going on.
Oh, see, that's
and it was
so dumb.
It was really stupid.
I mean, you want to just be like, okay, so anytime there's any sort of seriousness in it, you want to just point at the Knack thing, the big monster thing, and just go like, look at you. You're literally a walking monolith of shit. You're just a bunch of tat.
He's
Tatbot.
He is Tatbot. Have you heard Knack speak? Knack has a voice.
No, he doesn't.
Knack talks like this.
Off, does he?
He does. That's how Knack talks.
That is so
but
dumb.
only when he's bigger than his default tiny form. If you don't know what Knack is, that's Knack. Knack is a collection of weird relics. In this world, it's got a bizarre mythology. There are humans in this world.
Right.
They've had a long old war with the goblins. The Crystal War.
Right.
We're going into Knack 2 territory now. Honestly, I played Knack 1 and I can't remember what was in Knack 1 gameplay-wise. I'm just here to talk about Knack 2. Basically, the humans had a Crystal War about 200 years ago and they won, and then their technology advanced and they found these relics of an ancient civilization that for some reason they just found, and a doctor was able to create Knack by experimenting on these relics, and Knack can get bigger and smaller, and it's a platformer and an action game where in the first game you could punch and kick and jump, and they even poke fun at it in this game. They said, how did you even save the world last time? With just 3 punches and a jump. And he was like, hey, I did what I had to. And then they used that to suddenly, like, there are monks, and the monks go, you now know a new attack. It's like, what is this? What is this world? What is this mythology? It doesn't make sense. I know, but the reason it doesn't make sense is because I think it's meant to be for children, but then they play it so serious
that it's clearly aimed at...
And the difficulty spikes are so absurd. The checkpoints are better this time, but the difficulty spikes in combat are ridiculous. Like, enemies will just start doing new attacks you've never seen before when they've got you on the back foot. It's like, I don't know, how am I meant to respond to this apart from die? Frequently, and this was the case in the first one as well, the health bar is less of a health bar, and basically it should just work the same way as Sparks does in Spyro, where you get hit 3 or 4 times and you die.
Okay.
So what's the point in that health bar? Because it's not indicative.
Just gives you the illusion that you have more.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, to be fair, mate, it doesn't sound like you're talking about anything positive.
Right.
It does sound like this is very much a not okay game.
I have seen the reception to this, and the overwhelming consensus is that it is better than Knack 1, and it is better than Knack 1. But I've seen some places give it as like 7s and 8s, and I just don't understand. I don't know who this game is truly for. It's split between being so hard that only adults can play it, and even then get very frustrated. And such a childish, terrible story that only children should enjoy it, and it's got a cutesy art style, the most horrific interpretation of what CGI humans should look like I've ever seen.
Let's have a look at them now.
They're really, really ugly people. And it's in a weird no man's land where I think people that used to love platformers will get some fun from it, because there are admittedly some great inventive stages where you're having to switch between big Knack, like, because as you go through the level you destroy boxes with relics and you get bigger, but you can tap R1 at any time to shrink down to tiny Knack, and then press R1 to absorb it back up and go big again. Loads of things involving that, and having to shrink down and run
it's
under
one
stuff.
gimmick, isn't it? Pretty much, you might as well use it to death.
Well, yeah, lots of rotating platforms and camera angles fixed from the sides where you're jumping over stuff and then it comes back in behind you, and then you'll go into the combat sections and there's loads and loads of combat options this time.
Yeah.
It is undeniably better than Knack 1.
Yeah,
and if you enjoyed Knack 1, then I don't know who you are, but well done, because you've got a great game here for you.
So the reviews for Knack 1, they were centering around the sort of 5 and 6 out of 10. So there was nothing like notoriously wrong with it, it was just an okay game. So it would kind of explain why people are giving it sort of 7s and 8s now, because if they're going, well, technically it's better, then technically it needs to be a higher rating than a 6 or a 7, so it has to be a 7 or an 8.
That's true, but if we want to get bogged down into that thing, I used to read in a magazine called PSM3, which is a PlayStation magazine, and it's sadly gone now, RIP. And what they did is they actually re-reviewed PS3 launch titles a year after the PS3 came out.
Brilliant.
To properly weight them, because obviously they were playing these games like, oh my god, this looks amazing.
And then going back with retrospect.
And then going back and everything got downgraded by like 10 points. I just don't think... I think some people like this type of game. And I think with Crash Bandicoot coming back and people falling in love with that again, there's definitely a market for this, but it's so weirdly executed in a story that they take seriously that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And combat that's just not fun a lot of the time.
Really? Because people have been comparing it to God of War. And I was like,
off.
But people have been comparing lots of things to Dark Souls. You compared everybody's golf to Dark Souls the other day.
Only in the set, like in a very particular way. I heard people. One of my friends actually described Knack 1 as his Dark Souls before he played Dark Souls. But if you play Knack 1, you can sort of see why. One of the
just
first
frustrating difficulty.
one of the except bullshit here,
right,
because the enemies will do the thing where you. There's a dodge button in this game, right?
Okay.
Use the right analog stick to dodge. They will start swinging down at you. You will dodge, and they will follow you around and smack it on top of you. Anyway,
tracking! I hate that. That's Dark Souls 2. That is
in splash attacks where they don't have a clear area, defined area where you're safe and where you're not.
Jesus.
Children's game, I assume. Maybe
it doesn't make me want to play this, mate.
But the thing is, the platforming is good.
Right.
I think that's really what it's got going for it. There are frequently inventive, fast-paced platforming sections that are like, that's quite fun. You feel like you're getting through it at a rate of knots. Oh boy, does it last a long time though.
How long
that
were
took
you
me by
playing
surprise. I don't know exactly, but there are 13 levels, each with chapters within them.
Oh wow,
like
so quite a big game then.
3 or 4 chapters within them. Yeah, I think the recommended time is somewhere about 10 hours. So it's of a decent length. There's a co-op mode where you can just have a second Knack.
Right. Does that affect the gameplay? Do you add more enemies in?
From the first one, I can't remember exactly, but I think, and I'm probably wrong here, that if one of you dies, then it's game over, which is terrible.
That sounds great.
There's time trials and all sorts of stuff. Like they've built this game as, hey, if you like Knack 1, you're really going to like this, because chances are you really like the old school stuff. And it's not old school in terms of like, because people will hear me describing the difficulty and they might think, oh, that sounds like old school. It just sounds like you're not good enough. And after a few tries you can get through it, but there's just something about being caught out by wonky combat that doesn't make you yearn for the old days. It's just like, this is not fair or fun.
This is why we left it behind in the retirement home of gaming, hooked up to a drip, and we only see it once every other month if we remember.
I was going to say once a year, Christmas.
Yeah, maybe. I'm a better son than you are.
Yes, you are. Knack 2, it's out today, I believe, in America.
Lucky you, because we've given it a rip-roaring, raving review discussion.
I can't really discuss anything other than its flaws, because I'm just so flabbergasted by the general response to it. I can't believe how much people are enjoying it, and that's indicative of some people out there will like it.
Okay.
If you liked Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, whatever, you're gonna maybe enjoy this.
See, I love the Insane Trilogy, but I don't like the sound of Knack 2, man.
If we had a physical copy, I would lend it to you, but we
luckily, you don't.
We got a digital one instead.
But yeah, so I mean, that is our kind of discussion roundup of Knack 2. Is it going to knack your socks off, or is it just knackered? So let us know in the comments section below. I'm pretty okay with that.
Yeah,
fun. That's the level of effort that was put into this game. Is the level of effort that I put into that comedy.
I don't want to smash the developers, because right at the top again it says directed by Mark Cerny. I'm like, oh, Mark, why are you doing this to yourself? Because Knack 1, sorry if it looks like I'm crying, because I'm really...
You cry because of this?
I'm coming out the back of a cold. I'm really emotional about Knack 2. Basically, Knack 1 was not very good. And then we all joked for years about, oh, they should do a Knack 2. Imagine if they... And then they announced Knack 2 and everyone was like, why? Why did you do this? Turns out it's better than the first one.
Okay.
But for me, it just doesn't need to exist.
Well, there we go. So yeah, it's yours to purchase from today if you want to. On the PS4, only on the PS4 for the players.
Only the power of the PlayStation 4 creates such a...
I can't wait for Knack 3 to only be on the PS4 Pro, because it needs that extra processing
power. For more
for
Knack, The bigger the Knack, the
harder they
fall. Yeah, okay. Well,
Bless you, Mark. Bless you, Mark. Our love goes out to you, and safe journeys, mate, because you're on a very dangerous road.
He got the platinum in the first game. I looked him up on PSN. The only platinum he's got is in Knack 1. I was like, well, I mean, if someone had to get it, it was going to be Mark Cerny, isn't it?
Oh, bless him. Let's get him on the phone.
I like Mark Cerny.
Let's give him a call.
He's got a weird, quiet intensity that makes him almost Joker-like. If you look at him at press conference, he's like this, and he talks like this. And he's just really excited about PlayStation.
I just love Knack.
God, let it go, Mark. Knack. I mean, we've had like 7 endings to this video. Knack 2 is okay. I'm not going to say it's good. It's better than the first one. The combat, they've improved on it in many ways. Still very frustrating. You've just got to remember more buttons now. The platforming is very good, I must say. There's lots of platforms, and it's out now. Let us know if you think Knack 2 should exist, or if you're excited for it, if you enjoyed Knack 1, because I know there are people out there. It's just, for me, I fundamentally just don't understand.
There are lots of platforms.
And all of the combats.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ben, for sharing your thoughts on that. If you were to give it a rating out of 5-star, I know I put you on the spot with this all the time, but
probably 3.
There we go.
It's better than 5.
There we go. So, yeah, let us know what you thought about it in the comment section below, and as always, like, share, and subscribe, and blah 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 blah.